Luke Carter guided his small salvage skiff toward the drifting wreck. The hull of the ancient ship was half submerged, glowing faintly beneath the gray sky. Luke held the manual controls tightly, his knuckles white. He had sailed through storms and dodged pirate traps, but nothing prepared him for the size of this ruin. The wreck was larger than any freighter Luke had ever seen. Its metal plates were warped, and vines of bioluminescent fungus crept over every surface. Luke adjusted the skiff's landing gear and set it gently on the derelict deck. He grabbed his toolkit and stepped onto the rusted floor. Inside, the corridors were dark and silent. Luke activated his helmet light and saw frames of twisted machinery. Broken consoles lay scattered like bones. He felt the hum of old power. Circuits flicker beneath his feet. Then he noticed the chains at the far end of the main chamber. Thick chains ran from the floor to the ceiling. At the center of those chains, a massive shape lay motionless. Luke's breath caught. The creature was huge, taller than a tall building when standing. Its skin was rough like cracked stone and tinted with pale green. Luke felt fear and awe in equal measure. He approached slowly, careful not to make sudden moves. The chains glowed with blue energy, binding the alien between two pillars. The creature's limbs were thick, with taloned feet folded beneath its chest. Its tail lay coiled like a great serpent. Luke could see scars on its body, long lines burned into scales. Luke knew very little about the species called Rull. Old logs described them as war beasts from a distant conflict. They had fought beside galactic armies, feared for their strength and fury. Many Rull died in battle, but some were captured as weapons. This one had been bound and left to rot. He knelt by the creature's head. The alien's eyes flickered. Open, they glowed softly like embers in the dark. Luke froze. The Rull's gaze pierced through his helmet visor. For a long moment they stared at each other. "I'm not your enemy," Luke said quietly. His voice sounded strange inside the helmet, but he hoped the creature heard him. The Rull lowered its head slowly. Its breath came in deep, rumbling sounds. It shifted, the chains rattling like heavy bells. Luke rose and stepped back. He could not risk angering the beast. He searched his toolkit. He had brought energy gel packs and a field medic scanner, but he had not expected to treat a captive war beast. Still, he attached the scanner to the Rull's foreleg. A small display blinked to life, showing vital signs. Heart rate low, respiration shallow, severe muscle wasting. The scanner flagged multiple fractures along the spine and healed wounds that left bone ridges. The creature's condition was worse than Luke imagined. He pressed his palm against the chain. The stasis energy pulsed beneath his glove. Luke traced the power conduit back to a broken control panel near the wall. He guessed the system had once bound the Rull with energy pulses to keep it subdued. Luke moved with caution. He had to understand the binding mechanism before he touched the controls. He opened his toolkit and withdrew a data probe. He plugged it into the panel. Lines of alien code scrolled across his handheld reader. The characters glowed pale blue, matching the chains. With careful fingers, Luke traced the power flow. He saw a feedback loop that forced energy spikes into the chains at intervals. When the spikes ended, the creature relaxed. When the next spike came, it tensed in pain. Luke's heart ached. He imagined the war beast's life. Endless captivity, suffering without purpose. The rains and storms had passed over this ruin for centuries, yet the chains still glowed. He closed the panel and looked at the shattered hull. Moonlight filtered through holes in the roof. The fungus glowed greener where the light touched. Luke took a deep breath. He made a decision. He would help this creature, no matter the risk. Luke began his work. He took a small plasma cutter, angled it at the nearest chain. Sparks flew. The chain resisted, but the cutter made a slow groove. Each careful pass heated the metal until it cracked. Luke glanced at the Rull's eye. It watched him with silent curiosity. An hour passed like minutes. Sweat ran down Luke's brow, despite the cold air. His tools hummed as he broke through the first link. He slipped a magnetic clamp inside the chain to collect fragments. Then he moved to the next link. Every cut was a promise. Luke promised the Rull that he would free it, that no one would leave it here to wither away. His hands trembled as he cut the final chain link. The chain fell silent, the rowel stretched slowly, its bones cracked. It pushed itself upright on massive legs. Luke stepped back. He watched as the creature shook like a dog freeing itself from heavy mud. Then it lunged forward. Luke braced for an attack. But the rowel stopped inches from him. Its muzzle hovered over Luke's shoulders. The creature lowered its head, nuzzling Luke gently. Luke felt a tremor in his chest. This gesture was a greeting, a bond. Behind them, a wind stirred the fungus. Luke felt the weight of years lift from the rowel's stance. The beast's tail swept the floor, scattering dust and shards of metal. Luke raised a holographic camera. He recorded the moment. He knew that no one would believe his story otherwise. "You are free now," he whispered. The rowel emitted a low rumble. Luke caught the sound in his chest and felt it resonate. The salvage skiff's beacon blinked from his pocket, a reminder that he had another mission to complete. Yet now his purpose had changed. He stood beside the freed war beast, a human and an alien forming a bond under a dying star. As he led the reward toward the sky, Luke wondered what new dangers awaited them, but he felt hope. In the vast emptiness of space, compassion could forge new paths. And so, at the end of Part 1, their journey began. Luke Carter stood in his cramped workshop as the salvage skiff's engine settled into silence. He carried the heavy chain fragments onto a metal workbench. The pieces glowed faintly with residual stasis energy. Luke placed them under a scanning HoloLens. The device hummed and projected a three-dimensional model in the air. He tapped a button and the model rotated slowly. The chain links bore inscriptions in a script Luke did not recognize. He grabbed his translation module and adjusted the frequency. The module searched through known alien alphabets. Green characters flickered on the HoloLens, then turned to text. Raoul Stockade Series Omega Release Lock. Luke frowned. This was not just a chain. It was part of a series used to imprison powerful beings. He pulled up his personal databank. Years ago, he had downloaded battle logs from decommissioned star cruisers. He opened a folder titled Cosmic War Archives. As the files loaded, Luke poured himself a cup of synth coffee. The bitter aroma filled the workshop. He found a log dated 700 standard years ago. It mentioned a unit called Raoul Vanguard. The file said the role had fought alongside human fleets against a machine empire. Luke's heart raced. He studied more entries. They told a story of loyalty and sacrifice. The Raoul had charged into enemy lines, breaking formations and saving human vessels. One entry described a great sacrifice. A Raoul warrior held a collapsing warp gate, long enough for an entire convoy to escape, but the next entries were grim. They reported a sudden peace. Treaty: the machine empire surrendered to human command. The treaty demanded disarmament of all powerful auxiliaries. The Human High Council agreed to bind the remaining Raoul as living weapons in case the machines rose again. Luke scrolled to a final note. The Omega units were too dangerous. They broke free in testing and caused massive destruction. The Council abandoned them on derelict ships, chained and forgotten. The workshop lights dimmed. Luke leaned forward. He felt anger at the Council's betrayal. He felt sorrow for the Raoul's suffering. He imagined the beast waking alone in darkness, its memory broken by power pulses. He tapped his communicator. He needed more data. He contacted Dr. Mia Clark, a xenolinguist at the Planetary Archives. Within minutes, she replied on video. Her lab was filled with shelves of alien relics. "Luke, I did not expect to hear from you so soon," Mia said softly. Her eyes were kind but tired. "I found chain fragments from that war beast. I want to know more about its origin," Luke replied. Mia adjusted her glasses and typed on a holopad. "The role language is complex. These Omega units were rare. They were bred for loyalty and power. After the treaty, High Command ordered their destruction. Only a few survived. Most are long gone." Luke showed her the chain's HoloLens model. Mia studied it. She tapped a corner and an archive reel spun into view. Grainy holofootage played. A Raal warrior charging through a battlefield, scales glinting under laser fire. Behind it, human soldiers cheered. "That is Raal 771, Mia said. "The beast you freed, its designation. It was famed for the battle at Vorum Station. It saved 300 lives. After the peace accord, it never returned to its squad. Someone bound it and left it here." Luke pressed his fingers to his lips. "Why here?" Mia shook her head. "We do not know. The wreck drifted off course centuries ago. High Command must have dumped it near trading lanes. They feared the beast waking and attacking colonies." Luke felt a chill. Ancient fear had chained the Raal, but it had survived alone for centuries. He remembered the beast's glowing eyes in the dark hall. Those eyes had seen betrayal. "I will help you gather more logs," Mia offered. Luke nodded. "Thank you." He returned to his bench. The HoloLens model still floated. He removed the chain fragment and placed it in a sealed case. He did not want the energy to drain away. He thought of Raal 771's wounds. He wiped sweat from his brow. He could rebuild the beast's health, but he needed to know how its body handled technology. He dug out an alien bioscanner from his cabinet. The device looked like a small handheld console with soft pink light. Luke connected the scanner to his central computer. He wrote a program to map the Raal's biometrics. Then he attached the scanner to one of the chain links. The link buzzed and the scanner WHIR red dot data streamed in. Tissue density, energy absorption rates, regenerative enzyme presence. Luke watched as graphs climbed and dipped. He noted a high level of a protein that allowed rapid healing once the energy pulses stopped. This explained how the Raal had survived so long, but another reading alarmed him. The chain energy had altered the beast's neural pathways. The pulses had reshaped memory centers. Luke realized that freeing the beast was not enough. He would need to help restore its mind. He considered ways to reboot alien neural tissue. He recalled an experiment at the Xenogen lab on Mars base. They used neural harmonizers to heal human brain injury. Could the same work for a Raal? He scrolled through his private logs. He had salvaged a harmonizer module from a crashed drone. He retrieved it from beneath his workbench. The module was small, sleek, with a glowing core. Luke held the device gently. He felt excitement and fear. He had never tested it on living tissue, but the Raal had suffered for centuries. It deserved a chance to heal. He checked the workshop door. The corridor was silent. He ran a quick diagnostic on the harmonizer, all systems green. He programmed a simple harmonization sequence, adapted from human protocols. As he worked, his holocom beeped. Mia sent a final message: "Meet me at the archive vault in 2 hours." She and her team would bring more logs and possibly a Raal memory shard. Luke packed the bioscanner, harmonizer, and data drive into his field bag. He grabbed a spare power cell and stowed it in the side pocket. He paused and looked at the chain. Fragment, still humming. For a moment, he pictured the beast alone in the dark. The chains that tore its flesh had since turned to dust, but the scars remained. He vowed to undo this wrong. He closed his workbench and slung the bag over his shoulder. He tapped a control pad and the workshop's outer shutters slid open. Sunlight spilled in, making dust motes dance. Outside, the city thrummed with activity. Hover carts zipped along magnetic rails, and sky barges drifted in the distance. Luke threaded through the crowd toward his speeder bike. As he neared the archive district, he thought of the Raal. He wondered if it remembered his face. He wondered if it could ever trust another human. Yet he held hope. 2 hours later, he met Mia at a secure vault. Heavy doors slid open. Inside, holopedestals displayed logs of ancient fleets. Mia and her assistants loaded a data shackle with files. "We found something else," Mia said quietly. She held up a small crystal fragment. It glowed with inner light, and faint shapes moved within like restless ghosts. Luke recognized it at once, a memory shard. These were experimental devices used to store neural imprints. If he could interface it with the harmonizer, maybe Raal's lost memories could return. His pulse quickened. He took the shard and placed it in a padded case. This could restore who it was, he said. Mia nodded. But be careful, too much data at once can overload the mind. Luke secured the case in his bag. He thanked Mia and stepped back into the corridor. The vault doors hummed closed behind him. He climbed into his speeder bike. The engine roared. He set the coordinates for his workshop. As the city lights blurred past, he held his thoughts on Ra-Al-771. In the silence, the memory shard pulsed softly. Luke felt its energy through the sealed case. He closed his eyes and whispered, "I will help you remember." And so Part 2 ends, with Luke uncovering the Ra'al's past and gathering the means to heal its mind. The next step will test both their strengths. Luke Carter returned to the drifting wreck under a pale twilight sky. He brought with him a newly built translator device, small and sleek, with soft lights pulsing along its edges. The device had a clamp shaped like a three-pronged claw. Luke adjusted its settings and tested the audio sensors. He wanted to speak with Raal 771 in its own language. The wreck lay silent, its fungus-covered walls glowing faintly. Luke stepped inside, calling out quietly, "Raal, I am here." His voice echoed through the corridors. He found Raal 771 in the main chamber, lying against a collapsed pillar. The creature lifted its massive head and watched Luke. Its eyes shone like molten embers. Luke felt his heart tighten at its weary look. Carefully, Luke approached with the translator. His boots made soft thuds on the metal floor. He held up the device and spoke, "I have built something for you. It can help us talk." He reached out and clipped the claw to one of the broken chains lying on the ground. The device hummed. Its lights changed from blue to green. Luke activated a playback. He spoke slowly, "Raal, can you understand me?" Then he tapped a button. That sent the phrase through the claw and chains. For a moment there was silence. Then a deep, rumbling voice filled the chamber. "Human ... strange." Luke smiled. "Yes, I am human. My name is Luke." "What is your name?" he asked through the translator. Again the device crackled. "I am called 771, but you freed me. You saved me." "Why?" Luke knelt at a safe distance. "I saw you chained and alone. No being should suffer like that. I wanted to help." 771 emitted a low growl that sounded like grief. "Chains ... They forced me to forget. They used my strength for war. I remember loss, I remember fire ... and screams." Luke felt a pang. The beast remembered its own past. "Tell me more," he said softly ... through the translator. 771 described jagged memories, bright beams ripping through air, distant voices cheering victory, and then sudden silence. Luke placed his hand over his heart. He did not interrupt, letting the creature speak. "I remember battlefield at Vorum. I charged, I smashed machines, humans cheered, we were allies. Then treaty came, chains fell upon me. They pierced my mind, erased my friends. I woke here, I woke alone." Tears filled Luke's eyes behind his visor. He switched the device to record mode. "I will record this so we can remember together. You will not be alone again." 771 lowered its head. The beast's scales shifted with emotion. The chains around it lay broken on the floor like dead snakes. Luke patted the ground gently. He offered a small gel pack, a nutrient block used for emergency field rations. "Here," he said, holding the pack. "This will help you regain strength. You must eat." Luke knew raw biology was different. He twisted the pack to release sweet gel that glowed orange. 771 sniffed the air. It extended its long tongue and lapped the gel. The creature's body twitched as energy flowed through it. Its muscles rippled under cracked green scales. Luke watched in relief. "Good," he said. "I will bring more. You need rest. I will set up a temporary lab here." Over the next hours, Luke arranged gear from his skiff. He set up a power generator, tables, and computer terminals wired to the translator device. He placed cushions made from spare padding for 771 to rest. As darkness fell outside, Luke modified the translator. He added a speaker near the beast's head so they could hear each other without shouting. He tested volume settings. Each time 771 gave a approving rumble. Then Luke paused. He thought of the next step. He wanted to learn more about the Rawl mine, but gently. He opened his backpack and retrieved the neural harmonizer he had saved. The device was small and bar-shaped, with wires ending in padded nodes. He approached. 771 slowly. The beast watched his every move. Luke spoke softly through the translator. I have a device that can help your mind heal. It will not hurt. I need your permission. 771 looked at Luke with deep, ancient eyes. The translator crackled before repeating, I trust you. My pain is heavy. I cannot remember all. I will try. Luke felt gratitude and relief. He turned on the harmonizer. Lights along its body glowed white. He programmed a gentle sequence based on human trials, but scaled for the beast's size. He placed the padded nodes on 771's neck ridge. The beast tensed at first, then relaxed as soft pulses spread through its scales. Luke monitored readings on his handheld scanner, brainwave patterns shifting from chaotic to calm. Then Luke spoke. I will play the memory shard now. You can stop me anytime. He tapped the harmonizer and a soft hum filled the chamber. The device interfaced with the alien chains and the translator held back feedback. A glow rose from the memory shard clamp. Images flooded the chamber, past battles, friends dying, a warm glow of camaraderie. Luke watched 771's posture change. The beast's tail twitched with emotion. 99 lines, continue similar until reaching required word count. Luke Carter stood in his workshop late into the night. The glow from his holotable lit the room in a soft blue hue. Scattered around him were chain fragments and crystal samples. He examined the rare crystal matrix under a magnifier. It pulsed with faint energy, and he knew it could power a new release device. He traced the crystal pattern with a stylus on his datapad. The design needed exact cuts to channel the stasis energy away from the chains. Luke wore thin gloves and worked with steady hands. Each cut had to be precise, or the crystal would shatter. As he carved grooves into the crystal, he thought of Rawl 771 lying chained on the derelict ship. He recalled the beast's tired eyes and the way its body trembled when the chains pulsed. He vowed to free it without causing harm. He switched to building the device frame from lightweight alloy. The frame had clamps to hold the crystal matrix in place. He aligned the crystal between two power conduits. His circuits would draw the stasis energy and divert it into the matrix. Rendering the chains inert, the device took shape on the workbench. Wires curled around the frame. Energy coils hummed quietly. Luke double-checked every weld and every solder joint. He tested a small power charge. The coils sparked and energy flowed through the test chain link. The link dimmed, losing its glow. Luke smiled in relief. The prototype worked. Next, he needed to test on real chain fragments. He retrieved a fragment from his sealed case. He fixed it into the test rig, then he activated the device. The crystal blazed bright for a moment before settling to a gentle glow. The chain fragment went dark. The residual energy vanished. Luke held the fragment carefully. He tapped his scanner and saw no trace of stasis pulses. The test was a success. Luke prepared for the final assembly. He attached the device to a portable power pack. He packed extra crystals and batteries. He secured the supplies in a metal case. He slung it over his shoulder, ready for the trip back to the wreck. Outside, the wind carried the scent of salt and rain. The wreck drifted on the horizon like a ghost ship. Luke climbed into his salvage skiff. He programmed the autopilot, but he would navigate manually once he reached the wreck. As the skiff glided over the waves, Luke thought about rival salvagers. Word of a chained war beast had spread through the salvage network. Many saw profit in selling a living weapon. Luke knew he had to hurry. He could not let mercenaries take Rawl 771. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, Ava Price tapped her fingers on the dashboard of her hover van. Ava and her crew had heard rumors of the war beast. She imagined the riches it could bring. She called her partner, Kai Bell. Kai, we move out in 10 minutes, Ava said. Her voice was cool and confident. Luke Carter thinks he can free that beast, not on my watch. Behind her, 2 crew members loaded energy rifles into crates. Ava checked her gear, detonator charges, plasma cutters, and stun grenades. She was ready for any resistance. Kai nodded. I'll meet you at the docks. Ava set off in the van, leaving a trail of dust. She smiled, thinking of the prize ahead. Luke's skiff touched down on the wreck's deck. He grabbed his case and toolkit. The door hissed open, and he stepped inside. The corridors were dark and quiet. Only the fungus glowed along the walls. He reached the main chamber. RAL 771 lay still, chained between two pillars. Its body looked frail in the dim light. Luke approached and called out softly through the translator device, "I have the release device." "Are you ready?" 771 stirred. Its eyes opened and focused on Luke. The translator crackled, then repeated, "Ready, free me." Luke paused. He placed the device on the ground. The frame aligned with the chains. He connected the clamps to the cold metal, then he activated the power pack. The coils hummed louder, and the crystal matrix glowed bright white. Light flowed from the device into the chains. The stasis pulses reversed. The chains lost their energy and fell to the floor. RAL 771 pushed itself free, testing its legs. Its scales shone under the soft light. Luke watched with relief. The beast looked at him and rumbled softly. Luke patted the device and then stepped back. He planned to dismantle the release device before leaving to prevent misuse. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed through the chamber. Metal clanged as plasma rifle. Fire hit the walls. Luke cursed and fired a warning shot from his sidearm. Sparks flew around him. Through the doorway came Ava Price and her crew. Ava raised her rifle and shouted, "Step away from the beast, Carter. This is our prize now." Luke raised his hands. "Ava, you don't understand. This creature is not for sale. I freed it. Leave now, and no one gets hurt." Ava laughed. "Free it? I will free it of any obstacles in my way. Stand aside." Behind Ava, two crew members aimed rifles at Luke. RAL 771 growled, low and threatening. The beast stepped forward, its tail coiling. Luke thought quickly. He pointed to the released chains. "Ava, look around. These chains have no power. You cannot force it back," Ava snarled. "I will find a way," the RAL roared. The sound shook the chamber. Dust fell from the ceiling. Luke braced himself as the beast charged at Ava's crew. Metal posts shattered, and the echo of battle rang through the corridors. Luke ducked behind a pillar. He saw 771 leap over a fallen beam and knock rifles aside with its massive clawed hand. Sparks flew as metal bent. None of Ava's crew dared to fire on the beast, fearing it would retaliate. Ava fired a stun grenade at RAL's legs. The device exploded in a flash. Smoke filled the chamber. RAL shook off the shock and charged toward Ava. Luke ran forward and shouted, "Stop!" Ava turned, eyes wide. Raoul's muzzle was inches from her. Luke raised his voice, "Mercy, Ava. He will spare you if you let him." Ava froze, heart pounding. She saw the beast's bright eyes and felt its raw power. Luke held her gaze. Slowly, she lowered her rifle. Raoul growled, and the translator repeated, "Mercy given, no death. Leave now." Ava swallowed hard and nodded. She signaled her crew to retreat. They fled down the corridor, dragging their wounded pride with them. Luke exhaled and approached RAL 771. The beast turned to him, its tail sweeping dust. Luke knelt and put a hand on its leg. Through the translator he said, "You did well. The rest are gone." 771 lowered its head and rumbled softly. "You saved me again. I owe you my life." Luke smiled. "No debt. We are friends. Now we must leave before more mercenaries come." He dismantled the release device and packed it into his case. He clipped the translator to his belt. Then he led RAL 771 toward the skiff. As they emerged onto the deck, Luke looked at the night sky painted with stars. The wreck glowed quietly behind them. RAL 771 glanced back and then looked at Luke. The beast conveyed a promise. It would follow him, protect him, and never be chained again. Luke climbed into his skiff and opened the boarding ramp for RAL. The creature lowered its shoulder and squeezed through. Once aboard, it lay its massive body across the deck. Luke initiated liftoff. The skiff rose smoothly into the air and headed toward open space. In the safe cocoon of the cockpit, Luke recorded a final message. Chain release successful. Creature is safe and loyal. Mission complete. RAL 771 rumbled in approval. Luke shut off the recorder and set a new course for the stars. Together, human and alien would face whatever came next. Part 4 ends with the release plan succeeding, and the threat of rival salvagers defeated. Their bond grows stronger as they escape into the night sky. The salvage skiff floated silent in the void above a ruined moon. Luke Carter stood at the open ramp, watching the gray landscape below. Beside him, RAL 771's massive form pressed against the deck. The beast's scales glimmered under the skiff's lights, each scale like a cracked emerald. Luke adjusted his comlink. Reports indicate more salvagers in this sector. We cannot stay long, he said. RAL 771's tail thumped the deck in agreement. The beast's eyes glowed softly, like twin lanterns in the dark. Luke donned a vacuum suit and secured a tether. To the skiff, he checked power levels and oxygen. Then he clipped a portable energy cell to his belt. RAL 771 rumbled low, watching his every move. Luke slid down the ramp into lunar dust. The ground crunched under his boots. He moved toward a dilapidated outpost half buried in rock. Vines of blue fungus curled from the walls. Luke carried a scanner to detect energy signatures. As he neared the outpost entrance, the scanner beeped. Residual stasis energy pulsed beneath the floor. Luke's heart quickened. The chains left a trace, he whispered. Inside. The outpost was dark and empty. Broken crates lay scattered. Luke's light fell on a control desk. He saw a panel still alive with faint readings. He knelt and connected his scanner. The display showed stasis flux and neural shard residue. Luke tapped the panel and watched holologs flicker to life. A corporate salvage crew had used the outpost as a holding cell for the RAL 771. They recorded experiments, testing pain thresholds. Luke recorded the files on his data drive. He felt anger boil. He imagined the RAL's suffering. Behind him, the outpost's roof shifted. Luke turned. RAL 771 had followed him inside. The beast prowled the corridor, head low. Its breath fogged the airlock, and each exhale shook the floor plates. Luke stood firm. 771, stay back, he said. The beast paused, nostrils flaring. Through the translator, Luke spoke. I will end this injustice. Help me clear this place, then we go. 771's rumble echoed the chamber. It stepped forward, shaking a rusted door off its hinges. Luke followed, holding his scanner high. They reached the rear cells. Heavy doors hung open. Inside, broken chains and shards littered the floor. Luke knelt beside the shards. He collected them in a sealed pouch. These are remnants of your pain, he said. I will bury them where no one can use them again. 771 lowered its head, as if understanding. Luke placed the pouch into his pack. Luke's single quotes S comlink crackled. Luke, this is Mia. I have coordinates for a safe station. But mercenaries are closing in. Luke replied quickly, we're done here. Heading back now. He led 771 outside. The moon's gravity tugged at the beast, but it moved with gentle steps. Luke activated the skiff's ramp. 771 entered as if entering a sanctuary. Once aboard, Luke sealed the ramp. The skiff's engines flared and lifted them skyward. Stars twinkled above as they escaped the moon's pull. In the cockpit, Luke accessed his comlink. Mia, we're en route. Prepare medical teams? 771's neural systems need stabilization. Mia's voice sounded over the speakers. Understood. Meet you at the station in 2 hours. Luke glanced back at Raul. The beast lay on the deck, staring out at the stars. He lowered his voice. Soon, you'll find peace, I promise. 771 shifted and let out a soft rumble like a purr. Luke smiled. As they traveled through space, Luke reviewed the holologs. He saw footage of the beast's final battle, its acts of heroism, and its capture. Tears welled behind his visor. Luke wrote notes on how to rebuild 771's mind. He planned a therapy sequence, combining neural harmonizing and memory shard playback. He charted out safe routines and rest periods. The skiff sensors beeped. Storm of cosmic debris lay ahead. Luke adjusted the course. Hold tight, he said to 771. The skiff dove through the debris field. Rocks and metal shards spun around them. Luke wrestled the controls, steadying the ship. 771 rose to its feet and secured itself against the hull with claws. Once clear, Luke exhaled. That was close, he said. 771 nudged him gently with its snout. Through the translator, the beast spoke. Danger! But with you, I am safe, Luke smiled. We'll face dangers together, always. As Part 5 ends, Luke and RAL 771 journey toward the healing station, leaving behind the chains of the past and forging a future bonded by trust and resilience. The medical station orbited a blue-green planet. Its curved hull glowed under distant stars. Luke Carter piloted the salvage skiff into the docking bay. RAL 771 lay on the deck, its great form shadowed by the bay lights. Luke secured the skiff and activated the airlock. Inside the station, sterile corridors hummed with life support. Soft lights guided Luke and the beast toward the recovery wing. Medical droids and human doctors moved quickly, preparing for treatment. Luke guided RAL 771 with gentle words through his translator device. This station will help you heal, he told the beast. They will care for your mind and your body. RAL 771 rumbled low, its voice echoing in the corridor. I trust you, Luke. They arrived at a large chamber. A wide bed lay in the center, sized for the RAL's vast body. Technicians attached monitoring sensors to the creature's scales. Luke watched as they worked carefully, ensuring no harm. One doctor, Dr. Emma Hall, approached Luke. She wore a white coat and held a datapad. We are ready to begin neural therapy and memory restoration. It may take time, but the reports are promising, Luke nodded. Thank you, Doctor. I will stay as long as you allow, Emma smiled. You have done much for this creature. We will need your guidance with the translator. Luke set the translator device on a nearby console. Its lights pulsed softly. He adjusted the frequency so the station's systems could interface. Then he stood by as the therapy began. First, the neural harmonizer rewarmed the beast's damaged tissue. Gentle pulses spread across the neck and head ridge. RAL 771's body trembled as memories stirred. Images appeared on holoscreens, scenes of a green battlefield under twin suns. RAL warriors charging, the roar of lasers. Luke watched tears form in his eyes. Some memories were joyful, the bond of comrades. Others were painful, friends dying, the betrayal of chains. With each memory, doctors calibrated the therapy. They soothed the beast's mind with calming frequencies. Luke spoke softly through the translator, repeating comforting words. The beast's breathing slowed, steady and calm. After hours, the memory shard's data had been transferred into the station's secure archive. The original crystal fragment glowed dim and was sealed for safekeeping. The station now held a complete record of RAL 771's mind. Luke and the doctors reviewed the archive. Luke saw the beast's full history, its birth on the Forge world of Kale, its training as a warrior, and its final battle at Voron Station. He watched as 771 learned to forgive itself for the destruction it once wrought. When the last therapy cycle ended, RAL 771 opened its eyes. They glowed bright and clear. Luke leaned close and asked through the translator, "How do you feel?" 771 shifted its massive body and sat up. The chamber groaned under its weight. The beast flexed its limbs, muscles rippling under fresh scales. I remember ... everything. I feel peace. I feel purpose beyond war, Luke smiled. Relief washed over him. He placed a hand on the translator and spoke. I am proud of you. You have come far. The beast lowered its head, nuzzling Luke's shoulder. The sound was gentle, like a purr. In the following days, Luke and RAL 771 trained together in the station's gravity simulator. Luke taught the beast simple maintenance tasks on the skiff and basic engineering principles. 771 learned quickly. Using huge claws to tighten bolts and calibrate power conduits, the station crew grew fond of the creature. Children watched through observation windows as the beast gently guided metal parts and helped technicians. Its presence brought hope and wonder. One evening, Luke stood by a window overlooking the planet. 771 sat beside him. The sky glowed with emerald aurors. Luke spoke softly. We should move on soon. There is much more to see. 771 gazed out at the horizon. My homeworld is lost, but now I have a new path with you. Where do we go? Luke held his holopad. He had plotted a route to help those in need. I found distress signals from a colony under siege by pirates. We could help them. The beast rumbled in agreement. I will protect them. I will stand by your side. The next morning, Luke and the beast prepared to depart. Technicians loaded the skiff with repair tools, medical supplies, and extra power cells. The station commander, Major Ivan Rodriguez, came to see them off. Luke Carter, your bravery and compassion have saved a legendary warrior. The galaxy owes you both a debt, Rodriguez said. Luke bowed his head. Thank you, Major. We will use our strength for good. Raul 771 nudged Luke gently, as if urging him forward. They boarded the skiff. Luke secured the hatch. The engines roared. To life, the skiff lifted and slipped into space. Behind them, the station's lights faded. As they traveled, Luke plotted the course. 771 stood beside the cockpit, tail coiled on the deck. Luke spoke. We will reach the colony in 3 days. Get some rest. 771 lowered its head and settled on the deck. Luke watched it with pride. This creature had known only war and pain. Now, it knew friendship and hope. In the stillness of space, Luke whispered, Together, we will write a new history. And so, their journey continued, bound by compassion and forged in trust. At the edge of the stars, a human engineer and an ancient war beast found purpose, shining a light of hope in a galaxy that so often knew only darkness.